Let's talk about events as they're unfolding in India since 2020 or 2019. See, 2019 was the year when BJP came back to power, and with a greater majority than in 2014. So I'm providing a background here because I think that Congress was expecting that the victory in 2014 was by mistake. It was a chance, it was a luck thing, and it will be over in 5 years, which is obviously very entitled of them. They are so entitled that they think that this prime minister position is their family's legacy, but it is not. So they were slapped across their face by the population of this country when BJP came back to power, for good reason, of course. And they, of course, initially tried to paint it as a nationalist wave after Pulwama and all of that, but people had seen in 5 years the fundamental change in popular thinking. Now we were finally beginning to think towards development rather than nonsensical things. And finally, there was talk of cleanliness, there was talk of economy, such other major significant things. So they came back to power, and Congress could not digest it. Since then, there has been, in my observation, a coordinated effort to dislodge the government, and they are following a very interesting tactic, such which are followed in many other countries, which I can actually do a juxtaposition and show you how the same thing happened in Bangladesh, or maybe that they're trying to do in India. So what is happening is that 2020 there was COVID. In COVID, of course, this is a global thing. Okay, what happened because of China, because of Wuhan virus, because of COVID-19 was, it happened throughout the world. So it's not really who did not do something. But Indian government obviously managed the affairs quite well, much better than many other countries, including economy. We did not do, excessive spending on the government's part, which was done by many countries in the West. And now they're still in recession because of that, but which India did not do, which is why we are able to manage our economic growth. But in 2020, before COVID-19, and there was so after CAA was passed, there were protests. So why were these protests staged? CAA is about letting people in rather than throwing people out. There is no NRC that is attached to it, but intentionally by forces which wanted to spread fear, and this happened from around the world. It's not just happening in India. It's like a coordinated effort is going on throughout the world to paint Indian government as a Hindu nationalist, which they love to call it. Unfortunately for them, they don't realize that they are actually describing the government, not teasing or criticizing, and they're describing. And describing is like describing a trait or something. They are Hindu nationalists, and they're proud of it. Unfortunately for you, Hindu nationalist is something that is not to be proud of, but you are wrong about it. So BJP was shown as if they are trying to let only non-Muslims come into this country. But the thing is that the religions which were let in, and I was surprised that Judaism or Jewish people were not allowed, but whatever, maybe because their numbers are anyway not there in these countries that we mentioned. It could be because of that, it could be because of just missing something, or maybe because Judaism is not actually a centrally accepted minority religion in India. It is present. There are Jewish people living in India, especially in Maharashtra and parts of Gujarat, but they are not officially accepted as minority religion in India yet. So that's probably why their name was not added. So whatever was the case, that happened. Then then COVID-19 happened. Everything. Then after agricultural laws, I will make a separate video about these farm laws, 3 farm laws, and how amazing they were for this country, how essential they were at that moment, and even now, if they happen, it's not too late. But how these people they're willing to compromise with the economic growth and with the welfare of the farmers, the true welfare of the farmers, for the sake of their political gains. Of course, they didn't result in anything. In 2024, they lost again, or in 2022 for that matter, in Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections. But still, I mean, you are willing to compromise with your nation's interests for the sake of your political gains. That's what Congress represents today. That is what Rahul Gandhi stands for. That is how demented he is, and that's why he should never become the Prime Minister of this country. What he should become is the Prime runner. He should run away from this country and never come back, and India would love him for that. Probably it will increase his chances of ever becoming prime minister in his dreams, if anywhere. Then we come back to the next thing that happened. So in 2021 there was 2020-21 for more than a year, and then even in those, in that entire phase, there was element of Khalistan. So somehow Khalistan movement picked up pace. It had gone relatively more dormant to my sight, but suddenly it appeared from nowhere and started doing all of these things. Khalistan movement, I think on 26th of January, Khalistanis took over a rally which was supposed to be led by farmers, and the people who came out in support of farmers, they were sharecroppers, not actually farmers. All of them were sharecroppers, and they were afraid that their intermediary role as sharecropper would be destroyed if farmers got direct access to private players, and that's why they were doing all of this. I'll make a separate video. I said that. And then we come back to the next event. So one after another, then Hindenburg happened. They directly targeted Adani. Of course, Hindenburg got closed. I mean, they were fighting against a mammoth, and you know what? An ant can ruffle a mammoth, but it cannot kill it. It can ruffle it. It cannot, destroy it. Eventually, the mammoth would crush ant and probably its entire colony, and that's exactly what happened with Hindenburg. So Hindenburg thing happened. Hindenburg 2.0 happened later on as well. Of course, that did not have so much effect as the first one, because by that time people realized that Hindenburg is just someone way over his head, and he's just a peddler of lies, and he's like what, short seller, something short seller. So what he was doing for his own benefit. So it's kind of people didn't buy him the second time for good reason. But in all of this process, then even I'm missing out a lot of things here. A lot of major and minor things happened between these events, like lies about NRC, lies about then this year Waqf amendment happened, and for that there was again lies which were spread. There were protests about random useless things which need not happen, but they did. So it's like it's like a coordinated, and then the vote chori thing is going on. Vote chori campaign or whatever, full of lies, of course. Again, this is going on, and in this entire process, one thing is very standard, and that is Congress is desperate. Congress is desperate, and it is desperately trying to achieve something by portraying Indian government as undemocratic. This in 2024, before elections, their entire campaign was based on the lie that if they come to power, they will change the constitution. Well, you have changed the constitution more than 90 times in your governments, and Indira Gandhi was the one who changed the constitution in the worst way possible, democratically speaking. And still, for some reason, it is BJP which is undemocratic. It is Narendra Modi who is the dictator, and not Indira Gandhi. And they still are so proud of Indira Gandhi and her actions, when she was definitely a tyrant, no less. Especially in a specific phase of her life. I'm not saying entirely. Maybe she was good at some points and bad at others. But whenever she was bad, she was really tyrannical, and she was really domineering. And her son Sanjay Gandhi even worse. So what my point here is that Congress is playing on an international game, playing in an international game, trying to dislodge India's government. Alongside these things, what happened is pro-India governments changed, or they were trying to change pro-India governments. Like, for example, Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina's ouster. The pattern of Sheikh Hasina's ouster was Sheikh Hasina was constantly winning. I don't know how she was winning, but my opinion is that under Sheikh Hasina, it was a democratic rule, and so she was winning elections fair and square. And this is another this questioning the credibility of institutions. If Supreme Court is saying in your favor, you don't question it. If Supreme Court gives a judgment on Ram Mandir or something, you are just somehow, Supreme Court is now sold. If the Chief Justice calls Prime Minister for Ganesh Puja to his house, CJI is compromised. The entire system is compromised. You are questioning the state, forgetting that you yourself are part of the state now. You are yourself leader of the opposition who is part of the state. You're questioning yourself by questioning the state, or the credibility of the state itself, the machinery, the judiciary, the election commission. Of course, election commission thing is all everywhere. Then recently Bihar mein what happened is intensive revision happened of the electoral roll. That was again questioned for no reason. It was electoral roll revision has been happening for decades now, and that was exactly what was going on. It was only more intensive, or more, more full, more comprehensive, because we needed to eliminate some Bangladeshi infiltrators. We needed to eliminate some people with multiple IDs who wanted to influence elections using that. And that was exactly what the government did. But again, they are portraying it as a targeted attack towards a specific community. Name that community. They weren't even able to name that community, because it's not a targeted attack anyway. It's just another their bluff that they are pulling, but of course miserably failing in that as well. So in Bangladesh's case, what happened? Sheikh Hasina was winning. So Sheikh Hasina won 3 consecutive terms. In the 4th term, she was again going to win because she was working. So what the prime opposition did, and she was of course pro-India, and she was more progressive in nature, but the extremist Islamist forces wanted to take over the country. So what they did, the principal opposition, BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, they boycotted the election in an attempt to portray the election as undemocratic, because it did not have the participation of the opposition. But in fact, the opposition had all the right to participate. They boycotted the election for themselves, and Sheikh Hasina went ahead and won because BNP boycotted, which is why she came back to power another time, and this time with even greater majority than before. And then she was ousted. She was ousted by a mob of student terrorists who displayed their, as I've said earlier as well, they displayed their religious and cultural misogyny in the way they then stormed the Prime Minister's house and treated her clothes as well. So it's not out of the ordinary. I'm not even surprised, because looking at their names, looking at the religion they come from, it's only understandable that they did what they did. And the people, those who don't comply with that kind of demeanor, they are the ones who face fatwas every now and again. But what, we cannot be surprised by what happened, at least by the people. We can be surprised by the overall turn of events. Then again, similar things are happening in I would like to talk something about the Gen Z of Nepal in another video, and how, I mean, they just destroyed Congress, but that's a thing for another video. So overall, we can see that it's a coordinated line of things which is being done by Congress. Congress is constantly, backing such forces from outside of this country who are trying to dislodge this government or question this government. Of course, they have full support of $1 billion as provided by George Soros, openly said by George Soros, and so everyone knows that he has done this. There are forces like that of German shepherds or cockroaches or whatever you want to call such people. Then there are fake Deshbhakts in this country. There are Marxist historians. This is a coordinated chain targeted towards this, and something needs to be done about it. We as people should know about it, that this is like a very big conspiracy. It's seemingly a big conspiracy, like a chain of events is going on. They're trying to dislodge this government because they are afraid this government will do so good that they will never be able to come back to power again, and that's what is happening. So this is all for today, and share your views about this in the comments, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe. And this is, in my opinion, we are done for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye.